Good morning, everyone. I want to begin today with a bit of a confession. I was preparing for this talk and something kept coming to mind, something I thought was a little bit odd at first. It was the idea of someone who will roast for you. We all have that instinct to hide our imperfections, to shield the parts of ourselves we think are too messy, too flawed, or too vulnerable for the world to see. The fear of rejection, judgment, and ridicule holds us back from being fully ourselves. We believe that if others see our flaws, our mistakes, our shortcomings, they might not accept us, or worse, they might not love us. This fear is powerful and it can feel paralyzing. It's the voice that tells us we're not good enough, not worthy of belonging. It's the thing that makes us second guess our every move and question our self-worth. But what if I told you that our imperfections are actually what make us unstoppable? The truth is that we are all flawed. No one is perfect. No one has it all together, no matter how perfect their social media feed may look. Every single one of us has struggled, made mistakes, and faced challenges. And it's in those imperfections where our true power lies. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to show the world our flaws, we are freeing ourselves from the shame that keeps us small. We're saying, I am enough just as I am. Embracing imperfection is a radical act of self-acceptance. It's a declaration that we are worthy of love and connection, not despite our flaws, but because of them. Our imperfections make us human. They create the space for empathy, for growth, and for deeper connections with others. When we let go of the need to be perfect, we allow ourselves to be real, to be seen, and to be heard. And that, in turn, gives others the courage to do the same. Imagine for a moment what life would look like if we stopped trying to hide our imperfections. What if we allowed ourselves to be messy and imperfect without the fear of being judged? What if we embraced the moments when we stumble, fail, or make mistakes and saw them as opportunities to grow rather than evidence of our inadequacy? When we stop chasing perfection, we open ourselves up to real progress. We begin to see setbacks not as failures, but as stepping stones. We stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect version of ourselves before we take action. We start moving forward with all our imperfections intact, knowing that we are enough as we are. Courage is often romanticized as something reserved for the brave and fearless, but in reality, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is about choosing to act despite the fear, to move forward even when the road is uncertain and filled with obstacles. Courage is not an innate trait that only some people have. It's a skill, one that can be cultivated through practice and perseverance. The key to understanding courage is realizing that it often comes from leaning into discomfort, stepping into the unknown, and embracing the very things that scare us the most. We all experience fear at different points in our lives. It's a natural human response to situations that feel unfamiliar or threatening. Fear tells us to hold back, to stay in the safe zone, and to avoid risk. It's the voice in our heads that says, "What if you fail? What if they don't like you? What if you make a fool of yourself?" These thoughts are normal, but they shouldn't control us. True courage lies in acknowledging these fears and deciding to take action anyway. It's not easy. Courage doesn't always feel comfortable, and often it's accompanied by self-doubt and uncertainty. It's hard to push past the voice of fear, especially when it's shouting in our ears, but this is where growth happens. When we choose courage, we step outside our comfort zone and into a space where transformation occurs. We stop letting fear hold us back from reaching our potential, and instead we begin to trust ourselves more deeply. Leaning into discomfort is one of the most powerful things we can do for our personal growth. It's in the moments of discomfort that we begin to stretch, to grow, and to redefine our limits. Courage is not about being fearless, it's about taking that first step even when the path ahead is unclear. It's about showing up even when you feel like you're not ready. It's about saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm willing to find out. This is the essence of courage, pushing forward with uncertainty, trusting that even if things don't turn out perfectly, you'll be stronger for having tried. Courage doesn't have to be a grand, life-altering decision. It can show up in small, everyday moments. It's the courage to speak up when everyone else is silent, to share your true thoughts, to show vulnerability even when you fear judgment. It's the courage to say no to things that drain you, to set boundaries, and to prioritize your well-being. Every time we choose courage, we become more comfortable with the discomfort, more resilient in the face of challenges. Leaning into the hard stuff is what makes us grow. It's through these moments of discomfort that we learn more about ourselves, our values, and our ability to navigate life's uncertainties. Courage is a muscle that gets stronger the more we use it. And when we begin to choose courage over comfort, we not only transform our own lives, we inspire others to do the same. In today's world, we are more connected than ever before. Technology allows us to communicate with people across the globe in an instant, and yet many of us feel more disconnected than ever. It's as if, despite being constantly plugged in, we've lost something essential, the true sense of connection with one another. We're surrounded by hundreds, sometimes thousands of friends, followers, and acquaintances, yet still loneliness and isolation persist. The question is, why do we feel so disconnected in an age that is supposed to be all about connection? One of the key reasons for this growing disconnection is the way we approach relationships. In our fast-paced digital world, we often prioritize convenience over depth. Social media has made it easier than ever to show the world a curated version of ourselves, but in doing so, we've created barriers to true connection. When we only share the highlight reels of our lives, we inadvertently push others to do the same, leading to a cycle of superficial interaction. We become so focused on presenting a perfect image that we forget what truly matters, showing up as ourselves, imperfections and all. Authentic connection requires vulnerability, the willingness to show our real, unfiltered selves. It's the ability to be seen in our raw, unpolished state without fear of judgment or rejection. But vulnerability is not easy. It requires trust, and trust requires time. It's difficult to build trust when we're constantly on guard, worried about how others will perceive us. But the truth is, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open the door to real, meaningful relationships. It's in those moments of shared humanity where we let our guard down and show our true selves that the most profound connections are made. When we choose authenticity, we stop living for others' approval and start living for our own truth. We stop seeking validation in the number of likes or comments we receive, and instead focus on the quality of our connections. We start to surround ourselves with people who accept us as we are, flaws and all, and who encourage us to be the best version of ourselves, without the need for masks or facades. True connection also requires empathy, the ability to listen and understand someone else's experience without judgment. It's about being present in the moment, offering our attention and support without distractions or interruptions. In a world that is constantly demanding our attention, practicing empathy has become more challenging, yet more necessary than ever. When we take the time to truly listen, we show others that they matter, that their feelings and experiences are valid. This deepens our connections and creates a sense of belonging, something we all crave as human beings. Ultimately, building real connection in today's world comes down to one simple truth. We must be willing to show up, be vulnerable, and listen. We need to give ourselves and others the grace to be imperfect and allow space for growth and understanding. True connection is not found in the number of followers or the number of superficial interactions. It's found in the moments where we show up as ourselves and allow others to do the same. It's about building relationships based on trust, authenticity, and empathy rather than on image or convenience. And in doing so, we can begin to bridge the growing gap of disconnection and create the meaningful relationships we all long for. The stories we tell ourselves are the narratives that shape our reality. Every thought, every belief, and every action is influenced by the story we have crafted about who we are, what we deserve, and what we're capable of. These stories can either empower us or limit us, and often we don't even realize we are the authors. Our internal narrative, shaped by our experiences, our upbringing, and our social conditioning, play a huge role in determining how we see ourselves and how we move through the world. Too often, we tell ourselves stories that reinforce our fears and doubts. We believe that we are not good enough, that we can't succeed, or that we will always be stuck in our current situation. These negative stories become the lens through which we see everything, and they create a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we think we're not worthy of love or success, we'll subconsciously sabotage opportunities or relationships that come our way. If we believe that failure defines us, we will avoid taking risks and trying new things. But the good news is that we have the power to change these stories. We can rewrite the narratives that no longer serve us and replace them with ones that empower us. It's not about denying our flaws or pretending that everything is perfect, but rather about acknowledging our imperfections and choosing to embrace them as part of our journey. When we recognize that we have control over the stories we tell ourselves, we take back our power. We stop letting past failures, hurts, or fears dictate our future, and instead, we create a new story, one that reflects our true potential. Rewriting our stories requires self-awareness. It involves recognizing the patterns in our thinking and challenging the beliefs that hold us back. It's about being honest with ourselves about the ways in which we've been limiting our own growth. Once we recognize these patterns, we can start to shift our mindset. We can choose to believe in our strengths, in our resilience, and in our capacity to overcome challenges. Instead of focusing on what we've done wrong, we start focusing on what we can do right. This shift in perspective allows us to approach life with more openness and possibility. When we believe in the power of our own story, we begin to take ownership of our lives. We stop waiting for permission to live fully and start creating the life we truly desire. The process of rewriting our stories also helps us let go of shame. When we can see our failures and struggles as part of the larger narrative of growth, we free ourselves from the weight of shame and self-judgment. We realize that the past doesn't define us and that every setback is simply a lesson that leads to greater wisdom and strength. Ultimately, the stories we tell ourselves determine the life we lead. If we keep telling ourselves that we're not good enough, we'll stay stuck in that narrative. But if we choose to rewrite the story to embrace our worth, our capabilities, and our potential, we unlock a new world of possibility. We can begin to live out the story we truly want to tell. And as we do, we inspire others to do the same, to stop being limited by the stories they've been telling themselves, and to create new narratives that reflect their true power. Failure is something that many of us fear more than almost anything else. It's ingrained in us from a young age that failure is something to avoid, something that reflects our inadequacies and shortcomings. We've all heard the saying, failure is not an option, but the truth is, failure is not just inevitable, it's necessary. It's through our failures that we learn, grow, and develop the resilience to move forward in life. Instead of viewing failure as a dead end, we need to start seeing it as a stepping stone on the path to success. When we fail, we often experience a rush of emotion, shame, disappointment, frustration, but those feelings don't have to define us. In fact, they shouldn't. Failure is a powerful teacher if we allow it to be. It gives us the opportunity to reflect on what didn't work, to understand the gaps in our thinking or our approach, and to make adjustments. It helps us build resilience, a quality that is essential for long-term success. Resilience isn't about being perfect or never failing. It's about bouncing back, learning from our mistakes, and trying again with greater wisdom and understanding. Failure also forces us to confront our fears and insecurities head on. It asks us, what are you afraid of? And challenges us to face those fears. It can be humbling to fail, but in that humility, we find the courage to keep going. Each failure provides us with the opportunity to reframe our approach, to change our mindset, and to develop new strategies. It's not about avoiding failure, but rather embracing the lessons that come with it. In the process, we become stronger, smarter, and more capable than we were before. One of the most important aspects of failure is that it helps us redefine what success truly is. Many of us are conditioned to see success as something that is linear, one step after another, with no setbacks or mistakes along the way. But life is far from linear. Success is not just about reaching the finish line, it's about the journey, the growth, and the lessons learned along the way. Failure is an integral part of that journey. It's the moments of stumbling that allow us to recalibrate, reassess, and push forward with renewed clarity. When we fail, we also realize that success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every time we fail, we gain valuable experience that we can apply moving forward. It's through failing that we discover new ways of thinking, new approaches to problems, and new solutions to challenges. Failure provides us with the raw material we need to improve, adapt, and ultimately succeed. We often look at successful people and think they've never failed, but the truth is, their success is built on a mountain of failures. Each failure was a lesson, a building block that eventually led to their achievements. By learning to embrace failure, we free ourselves from the fear that holds us back from trying new things, taking risks, and chasing our dreams. We begin to see failure not as something to avoid, but as something to welcome, an essential part of growth and success. It's through failure that we develop the resilience, creativity, and perseverance needed to achieve the extraordinary. So instead of fearing failure, let's begin to celebrate it for what it is, a powerful catalyst for growth and transformation. Belonging is one of the most fundamental human needs. It's woven into the fabric of who we are. We all crave connection and acceptance. Yet so often, we find ourselves caught in the trap of people-pleasing, trying to fit into places and situations where we don't truly belong. We shape ourselves to fit the expectations of others, constantly adjusting, bending, and molding ourselves to gain approval and avoid rejection. But in doing so, we lose sight of who we truly are. We compromise our authenticity in the hopes of being accepted, not realizing that true belonging comes from being our most authentic selves, not from shaping ourselves to meet someone else's expectations. People-pleasing is a cycle that starts with a deep-seated fear of rejection, fear of being unloved, fear of not measuring up. We become so focused on meeting the needs of others that we forget to take care of our own. We say yes when we mean no. We hide our true opinions to avoid conflict. And we give more than we can handle because we fear disappointing others. It's exhausting, and ultimately it leads to burnout, resentment, and a sense of emptiness. We may have a lot of people around us, but we end up feeling more alone than ever because we're not truly showing up as ourselves. The irony is that the more we try to please others, the further we get from the kind of connection we truly desire. People-pleasing creates a barrier between us and those we seek to connect with. When we're constantly putting on a mask and performing for others, we prevent real intimacy from forming. We're afraid that if we show up as we are, with all our flaws and vulnerabilities, people will reject us. But the truth is, the more we hide our true selves, the more isolated we become. Authentic connection happens when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to show up with all our imperfections, and to be accepted for who we truly are. True belonging doesn't come from fitting in it. It comes from standing firm in who you are, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. It's about finding spaces where you can be your true self without fear of judgment or rejection. It's about surrounding yourself with people who accept you as you are and who encourage you to embrace your authentic self. When you stop trying to please others and start showing up for yourself, you attract the kind of people who will truly appreciate you for who you are. Finding true belonging requires courage. It requires the courage to say no to things that drain you, to set boundaries with people who don't respect your needs, and to step away from situations where you're not valued. It means being willing to walk away from people or groups that don't allow you to be your full self, and instead making space for relationships that nourish you and help you grow. Belonging is not about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about creating a space where your authentic self can thrive. When we stop people-pleasing and start embracing who we truly are, we stop chasing external validation and begin to experience a deeper sense of inner peace. We feel more connected to ourselves and to others, and we realize that the relationships that truly matter are the ones built on mutual respect, trust, and authenticity. True belonging is not about conforming to others' expectations. It's about standing firm in your own truth and finding people who celebrate that truth. Only then can we experience the deep, fulfilling connection that we all crave. There is a pervasive myth in our society that success is a straight path, one where hard work, dedication, and perseverance will always lead to a clear and predictable outcome. The reality, however, is far from this idealized vision. Success is rarely linear, and often it is the result of a series of failures, pivots, and unexpected detours. The ability to adapt, to roll with the punches, and to learn from the twists and turns is what truly determines our success in life. It's in the moments of uncertainty, when we are faced with setbacks or obstacles, that our resilience is tested, and it is here where true growth happens. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and no matter how much we try to control every aspect of our journey, we are bound to encounter moments of difficulty. These moments are not a reflection of our inadequacies or failures. Rather, they are part of the natural ebb and flow of life. The key is how we respond to these moments. Do we view them as roadblocks that stop us in our tracks, or do we see them as opportunities for learning and growth? Adapting to life's uncertainties is about more than just accepting failure or setbacks. It's about being flexible in our thinking, willing to shift our approach when things don't go as planned. It's about embracing the discomfort that comes with change and seeing it as a chance to learn something new. When things don't work out, it doesn't mean we've failed. It means we've gained valuable insights that will help us navigate the next challenge with more wisdom and clarity. Resilience isn't about being immune to failure or pain. It's about how we recover when things go wrong. The ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep moving forward despite the obstacles, is what separates those who achieve long-term success from those who give up when the going gets tough. Resilient people don't let failures define them. Instead, they use them as a springboard for future success. They see challenges not as deterrents, but as essential parts of the learning process that allow them to refine their skills and strategies. We often think that success is about reaching a specific goal or achieving a certain status, but in reality, success is more about the process, the way we handle the ups and downs and wins and losses. It's about building resilience through every experience, every challenge, and every setback. When we stop focusing solely on the destination and start embracing the journey, we begin to see that success is not just a matter of reaching a goal, but of how we grow along the way. Adaptability is essential not only in achieving success, but also in living a fulfilling life. When we are rigid in our expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment and frustration. But when we embrace the unpredictability of life and remain open to new possibilities, we allow ourselves the freedom to explore, experiment, and evolve. Adaptation is about being open to change and finding new solutions when the old ones no longer work. It's a mindset that allows us to thrive, no matter what life throws our way. Ultimately, success is about resilience, adaptability, and the willingness to embrace the unexpected. It's about seeing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow, learn, and evolve. Life is uncertain, but that uncertainty is also what makes it rich with possibility. By staying flexible and open to change, we position ourselves to not only survive the ups and downs, but to flourish in them. We live in a world where the pressure to always be productive, to always be achieving, can feel overwhelming. There's a constant push to do more, to be more, to prove our worth through our accomplishments. In the midst of this, we often forget the importance of simply being, of taking time to slow down, to rest, and to nourish our mental and emotional well-being. We are so caught up in the hustle culture that we begin to equate our value with our output, and we lose sight of the fact that our worth is not defined by how much we do, but by who we are. Taking a step back and allowing ourselves the time to rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Our bodies and minds need recovery to function at their best. Without rest, we burn out, become less productive, and risk compromising our mental health. In fact, studies show that rest is just as important for achieving success as hard work. It's through rest that our creativity is replenished, our energy is restored, and our minds can process the information we've taken in. When we give ourselves permission to pause, we are giving ourselves the opportunity to reset, reflect, and return to our tasks with greater clarity and focus. But rest doesn't always look the same for everyone. For some, it might mean taking a walk in nature, meditating, or engaging in a hobby that brings joy. For others, it might mean spending time with loved ones, reading, or simply doing nothing at all. The key is recognizing what rest looks like for you and making it a priority in your life. It's about honoring your body's signals when it needs a break and understanding that rest is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful tool for maintaining long-term productivity and well-being. The pressure to always be busy often stems from the fear of not being enough. We feel that if we're not constantly working, we're falling behind, that we're not keeping up with the expectations placed on us. But this mindset is counterproductive. It leads to stress, anxiety, and burnout. When we allow ourselves time to rest and recharge, we are not only improving our health, but also strengthening our ability to show up fully in everything we do. Rest allows us to return to our tasks with renewed energy and purpose, and often it's during these moments of stillness that our best ideas and solutions emerge. The way we view success often shapes how we approach our goals or work in our lives. There's a tendency in society to define success in terms of external achievements, titles, wealth, recognition, and status. These markers of success are often the ones that we are taught to chase from a young age. But true success, the kind that leads to fulfillment and satisfaction, goes beyond these superficial measurements. It's not about what we achieve or how we are perceived. It's about how we feel about ourselves, the impact we have on others, and the sense of purpose we find in our daily lives. One of the core aspects of genuine success is aligning our actions with our values. When we are clear about what we stand for, what matters most to us, and what kind of legacy we want to leave, success becomes a deeply personal journey. It's not about following a prescribed path or meeting someone else's expectations. It's about creating a life that reflects our inner truth. This alignment between our values and our actions gives us a sense of direction and meaning, even in the face of challenges. We begin to see success not as a destination, but as an ongoing process, one that is guided by our personal purpose and the positive impact we wish to make in the world. However, achieving this deeper sense of success often requires letting go of the societal pressures that define success in narrow terms. We need to stop comparing ourselves to others and stop measuring our worth by external standards. It's easy to get caught in the trap of keeping up with peers or striving for the same goals that society values, but this approach often leads to burnout and dissatisfaction. When we focus solely on external accomplishments, we risk losing touch with the things that truly bring us joy and fulfillment. True success is not about competing with others, but about growing into the person we were meant to be at our own pace and in our own way. A critical part of this process is learning to trust ourselves and our intuition. We often seek validation from others or look for external approval, but the most profound success comes when we listen to our own inner voice. When we are connected to our intuition, we make decisions that reflect our true desires and values, not the expectations placed on us by others. This self-trust fosters a sense of autonomy and empowerment, allowing us to move through life with confidence and clarity. We stop asking for permission to be ourselves and instead embrace our unique path. Additionally, true success involves embracing failure as part of the journey. When we view failure not as an endpoint, but as a valuable learning experience, we open ourselves up to growth and transformation. Every setback teaches us something important, whether it's about our resilience, our capabilities, or the lessons we need to learn in order to move forward. Success, in this sense, is not about avoiding mistakes, but about using them as stepping stones to greater wisdom and strength. Ultimately, true success is defined by the quality of our lives, the depth of our relationships, and the impact we have on the world around us. It's about creating a life that feels authentic, purposeful, and fulfilling. When we stop measuring our worth by external achievements and start focusing on what truly matters to us, we begin to experience a sense of success that is both meaningful and sustainable. Success becomes an expression of who we are, not just what we do. The pursuit of perfection can be one of the most limiting mindsets we carry with us. Society often teaches us that in order to be successful, admired, or loved, we must strive for flawlessness. We believe that only the perfect version of ourselves is worthy of acceptance and achievement. This belief leads many of us to a constant cycle of self-criticism and self-doubt, where we focus endlessly on our imperfections and shortcomings. We work tirelessly to eliminate every flaw, thinking that if we can just get everything right, we will finally be enough. However, this pursuit of perfection only holds us back from fully embracing who we are and from reaching our true potential. Perfection is an impossible standard, one that doesn't exist in reality. Everyone has flaws, and every person's journey is filled with challenges, mistakes, and learning experiences. Trying to live up to an idealized version of perfection only leads to disappointment and frustration. We waste so much energy focusing on what we believe we lack, rather than appreciating what we have and the progress we've made. The more we chase perfection, the more we miss out on the beauty of imperfection, the very thing that makes us human. What truly matters is not being flawless, but being authentic. Authenticity is about embracing all parts of ourselves, including our flaws, our mistakes, and our vulnerabilities. When we stop trying to be perfect, we allow ourselves to show up as we truly are. This authenticity builds deeper connections with others, because when we are real, others feel comfortable being real with us. It's through this vulnerability and honesty that we experience genuine growth, not through the endless pursuit of an unattainable ideal. Moreover, it's in our imperfections that we often find the greatest strengths. Our flaws are not weaknesses to be eradicated, but parts of our character that shape who we are. They offer valuable lessons, teach resilience, and reveal the depths of our empathy. When we embrace imperfection, we open ourselves up to creativity and innovation. Many of the greatest achievements in history have come from moments of trial and error, from learning through mistakes and evolving in unexpected ways. Perfectionism stifles this process, whereas imperfection fosters growth and exploration. Letting go of perfectionism also means freeing ourselves from the pressure to constantly measure up. It means giving ourselves permission to fail, to stumble, and to make mistakes without fearing that they define us. It's in the process of trying, failing, and trying again that we discover our true potential. Perfection doesn't lead to fulfillment. It leads to exhaustion and dissatisfaction. It's in the acceptance of our imperfections that we find peace and contentment. By releasing the need to be perfect, we create space for self-compassion. We become kinder to ourselves, recognizing that we are worthy of love and respect regardless of our flaws. True growth comes not from striving for perfection, but from embracing our imperfect selves, learning from our experiences, and continuing to evolve. Perfection is a myth that keeps us stuck in a never-ending cycle of comparison and self-judgment. When we let go of that myth, we free ourselves to live more fully, to make mistakes, to learn, and ultimately to become the best versions of ourselves. In conclusion, the essence of life is not defined by perfection, success, or societal expectations, but by our ability to embrace imperfection, learn from failure, and remain authentic in every step of our journey. As we navigate through life's ups and downs, it is important to remember that true growth comes from being vulnerable, adapting to challenges, and staying true to who we are, rather than trying to fit into predetermined molds. Success is not about achieving a flawless end result. It is about learning, evolving, and finding purpose in the process. By letting go of the pressure to always be perfect, we open ourselves to deeper connections, more meaningful experiences, and this fulfillment that comes from being real with ourselves and others. Our worth is not defined by external validation, but by our capacity to embrace who we are, flaws and all. So let us live with authenticity, embrace failure as a teacher, and approach each day with the courage to be ourselves, because ultimately that is where true success lies. So go ahead, let yourself be roasted, let yourself be seen, and watch what happens next. Thank you.